Today's conversation is sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners. If you're an accredited investor and you want to find out more about investment opportunities, go to firstgencp.com/invest.
They don't have to be 55 to 58 plus $million. Our average house I can get into for about 1 to about 1.5 million. I only do homes that are 10 to about 20 people per home because our aim is to keep a very cozy type of a atmosphere.
You're listening to the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels, the #1 podcast for long-distance real asset investing.
Welcome to the Going Long podcast. We're back once again to continue to help to educate you so you feel much more comfortable as well as confident investing beyond your backyard. And yes, I am your host, Billy Keels, and I am so excited to welcome you back to another conversation, another one of these conversations that's going to help you move forward faster. It's going to talk about a new asset that you may have heard of, you may not have heard of, but one way or the other, you want to hear about it in this context because it's going to help give you more options for your personal freedom, for your time. And you know what? So many of you have already continued to leave your honest written reviews and ratings on the Apple Podcast platform. If you have not, if you could do that, take just a couple seconds, leave us your honest written reviews as well as ratings. It helps us to continue to make the show better for you, get the guests and track the guests that are going to help you move forward faster. And all you need to do is leave an honest written review as well as rating on the Apple Podcast platform. If you don't know how to do that, there's a nice little video. It's very quick, it's simple, it's easy, and let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback. Second thing, if you're looking for any of the episodes you can't find on your favorite podcast platform, go to billykeels.com. When you get there, you are going to see the screen change a little bit. When you get there, just check out the podcast tab, click it. You'll be able to get to anything and everything from there. And then also too, if you're an accredited investor, I know I've mentioned it many times before, but you're going to want to send an email to aiclub@billykeels.com, connect with other accredited investors, find out about specific investment opportunities, some that you've heard about here, some that you've probably heard me talk about on other channels and stuff like that. But anyway, just send me the email, aiclub@billykeels.com. And then today, listen, today's conversation is this conversation that sometimes you combine different things like what's really happening with excellent service combined with a tangible asset and then looking for emerging trends in the marketplace. Like today, if you're looking for those in terms of looking for your next investment opportunity or just gaining more access and knowledge, well, this is one that you're really going to want to make sure that you listen to because today's guest, Brandon Schwab, is going to talk to you about the senior living space and how that can also potentially be one of the places that you're going to want to invest more of your time and your capital. So we'll get to the conversation with Brandon Schwab just after this. Are you a busy, high-paid professional, someone who's made $200,000 the previous 2 years and also expected to earn $200,000 this year? Or maybe as a couple, you filed jointly and you've earned $300,000 the previous 2 years and also expected to earn $300,000 together this year. Or maybe yourself or as a couple, you have $1 million in net worth, not including your home. Well, if you meet any of those criteria, then the IRS considers you to be someone who is an accredited investor. And so that probably means you're a top producing software sales executive, or maybe you're a highly paid consultant. Maybe you're a lawyer, maybe you're a doctor or a business owner. You may even work for a professional sports franchise. Well, one way or the other, you've done a lot of really hard work to get to where you are. You've done 100% of the work. And nowadays you're continuing to get crushed by taxes. And that means you're only bringing home 50% of the reward. If you're tired of doing this over and over and you're looking for a solution to start to keep more of your money, you can go to firstgencp.com/invest so that you can start to keep more of your money, which means that you can start to have the freedom to choose what you want to do, when you want to do it, with whom you want to do it. So once again, go to firstgencp.com/invest to see how we can start to help you today. Once again, that's firstgencp.com/invest. So if you want to know how having the servant's mindset and going from asking questions like, would you like paper or plastic, to questions like, how do you provide a better service for seniors as part of your long distance investing journey, then guess what? Today's the conversation that you're going to want to listen to until the very last word. You know why? Because today's guest not only started out his professional career as a professional grocery bagger. Well, that sounds very familiar because I did something very similar. You're going to really like today's conversation. Also, he quickly realized that, you know what, working for somebody else just really wasn't his thing. And so then he started in the real estate space and he began as well other business ventures related to even things like washing and detailing. I really want you all to hear about that. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome to today's conversation the founder of Shepherd Premier Senior Living, Brandon Schwab. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Hey, bud. Thank you very much for having me today.
Yeah, man, this is so much fun. And when I found this, I was like, oh my gosh, hang on a second. We're kindred spirits. We had very similar early first jobs. This is going to be awesome. The entire Going Long family is going to love it. Yeah, listen, man. So I want to jump right in. As you know, Brandon, you're going to get 5 questions. You're going to get 2 in the beginning. You're going to get 3 in the end. And in the middle, you're going to get a whole bunch of other questions. I just don't know what those questions are yet. So I want the entire Going Long family to get to know you. So let's start out with number 1 and helping us understand, where is it that you live in the U.S.?
Chicagoland.
All right, Chicagoland.
Chicago.
So, yeah, we like that. Chi-town. So,
Chi-town, let's go.
I think you're pretty close to a very large lake, something like that. Would that be correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Question number 2. Help us understand, Brandon, what is the most positive thing that's happened to you in the last 24 hours?
The last 24 hours, I was able to coach a 14U team, and I was able to coach, and they played in a tournament, and they the first 3 teams they got to be able to play, they were able to be able to crush every team. And our son, who is 14, he hit 750 in the first 2 games. It was awesome.
Wow, absolutely fantastic to be able to do a 14 and under coaching, and then 750. Wow, that's like 3 out of every 4 up at bats he was able to get.
That was fun.
Yeah. Fantastic, man. That's really, really awesome. So listen, I appreciate you sharing that with me and me and the entire Going Long family. And here's the thing. Everybody in the Going Long family knows this already about me, Brandon. I usually like to give myself very impossible tasks because I'm always pushing things to the limit, and kind of like trying to tell your entire backstory in a second and a half. Not going to ever happen, right? Because you've done way too much. You've impacted way too many lives. So what I would ask is that you help me out by having you tell your own backstory in your own words. Would really, really appreciate it. And then I'm going to ask you for one favor as well, Brandon. If you could also talk to me and the Going Long family about some of the major decisions that you've made to get to this point in your journey, and then we'll see where the conversation takes us from there.
Sure. First. Cool. Perfect. Well, I opened up our first company at the age of about 15 years old. I was able to do cars and also RVs for up to 14 years. And that was fun. And I thought that I owned our own operation, and I did that for 14 years. And a thing that I figured out is at the end of that, I didn't own any assets. And I thought that I owned a company, but a thing that I found out at the end of that 14 years is, as I offered it up for sales, I didn't have any person interested because I didn't own any assets. So I had been doing that from the age of about 15 years old on. And after the 2008, things hurt us. And I quickly had to get into a other industry after 2008. And I began wholesaling in 2010. And I did that for about 2 years. Now, keep in mind that as I was able to do cars and RVs, I think our average car I charged like $200 for, and that took me about 4 hours. So when I began to wholesale in 2010, our average deal I was earning $5,000 to $8,000. So at that point, I was like, "Oh my goodness, I am absolutely just doing awesome at this thing," right? And I did that for 2 years, and I did 20 deals per year, 30 deals per year, but I was constantly chasing deals. It was active income. And every time that I was able to go, "Hey, time out," I didn't earn any money. And then I go, "Oh, well, that isn't fun." No. So in 2012, I began investing into homes, and I built a portfolio up of 23 homes from 2012 to 2013. I had the average tenant, I think, was paying $1,800 each month. So I thought I was doing awesome. I had the total passive income I had was about $5,400 each month. And I thought I was crushing it. I was like, passive income, this is great, all things going forward. And then I was down in Florida. Now, keep in mind, I had a we had a club of investors, right? I had 110 people out each month. And so I was up there teaching everyone how to do this, right? So I thought I had everything kind of all figured out until 2014. 2014, I was down in Florida and I got exposed to a home that cared for the elderly that outperformed all 23 homes I had 2 times per month. And I quickly said, I haven't even heard of this business before. What am I doing? So I came back home. I put them all up for sale. I sold 22 of them in 32 total days.
Wow.
Gone.
Wow.
And I jumped in. Our first house we were able to buy for $250,000. I totally over rehabbed it and put $550,000 into it. Right.
Because on top of the 250 that you paid.
On top of the 250, I put an extra 550 into it. Right. And then this house got full up and operational. Now keep in mind, this town had 832 total people in it. Total 832 total people. But this house was perfect. It was 4,800 feet on about 3 acres. Right. So I was in there and I got the house full. And in 2018, we went to have the house appraised through a commercial appraiser, and it appraised for $1.8 million. And I said, okay, here we go. A thing that I found out is that I was able to purchase properties up front, and then I poured in tons of dollars. But as you do the take out financing, they don't care on any of that. They only care on the income. What's the NOI? And this property was clearing about $20,000 per month. And I said, okay, so $20,000 per month times 12, that's $240 at a 13% cap rate is so like 1.8 million. And I said, okay, here we go. Fast forward to today, I've got 5 homes up and operational. I have 2 homes that will be open up Q3, and I got 7.2 acres of land that we are going to build 120 total opportunities to care for, and about 5 homes total. So we have about 70 total open today. After the 2 in Q3 are open, I'll have about 102 total beds. And then after we are able to build the other 120, we'll have 220 plus beds. That's how I've been able to get to this point. And all because I figured out early on that how we care for the elderly here is disgusting. Billy, how they do it here just isn't it right. They put people in these 100 to 200, and then each person that is there to offer care has to care for 20 to 30 people. So like, how do you do that and actually offer awesome care? So a thing that I found out quickly is that isn't how it ought to be. And in fact, I found that out personally because I had a person in our family who had to go into all those places, and it was a terrible experience. I mean, so it had to have help. We pulled on the pull cord button, and so like no one came for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I got pissed and I just lost it. And I found 2 people to talk to, and I exploded on them that I felt terrible afterwards, because I was like, hey, after I'm gone, those 2 people are going to be like, don't offer anything to that guy. And I thought that I was doing everything to help him. But unfortunately, that was the final time I ever had a chance to talk to him on this earth. It was that day. And I just felt terrible, terrible after that. So as I got exposed to an opportunity to do things totally different, man, I was all in.
You know, so it's really interesting, right, that you talk about these kinds of things, Brandon, because it is really about, I found a lot of times when you are building a business, it's because you're solving some type of a problem. And usually it's a problem that you've had yourself, right? And whether that's yourself directly or yourself through a family member or not. But so this whole idea of the senior living spaces is something that, you know, we've heard over and over, but we haven't really had a chance to dig into it. But I'm just really curious, because I know that you started as a professional bagger just like me, but you realized like you didn't want to work for somebody else.
Yeah.
But what was it about real estate specifically that you realized like, hang on a second, I actually would like to either be in this space, play in this space, or do more in this space? What was it really about real estate that drew you there specifically?
So when I was cleaning cars, boats in for 14 years, I got exposed to people that had cash, tons of it, right? Yeah. And a thing that I found is afterwards, after I got done taking care of their car, all these fancy different toys. So I would end up talking to them afterwards. And then I always asked them, and 85% of them earned all of their cash through assets. And I thought that I was able to have a asset, and I was dead wrong. And after talking to them, that I think was the biggest thing is to put the time and effort into anything that after you are all finished is going to have an actual asset there, churning out income that can give you time to go do other things. I thought I owned something, but I didn't own anything because I had to keep on every day. I had to and that's a thing that taught me up front.
Okay. So it was the fact of the matter is that you had this business. It was a service-based business. However, the reason that you were able to continue to derive income is because someone was actually putting in hours to get income. And there wasn't actually a machine or a product working, let's say 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that was generating the income because it was an asset. It was that combined with the fact that you were having these conversations with people who actually had assets working for them. And you put two and two together to make yourself realize, okay, combine this service thing that you're doing well, because you had this detailing business that was a business that was well, but then combine that with some type of an asset that will continue to work. And that's actually how you got to real estate, right? Okay. And the reason I think that it's really interesting to hear your story that way, Brandon, is there's so many different paths that lead people to real estate. Sometimes people are like, yeah, you know what? This person was born into this family and they've known it forever and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that's one path. But then like, I didn't even know that it existed. I just happened to run into it. And I had a problem in my own life and real estate helped me. And now you were taking this positive experience from a service-based business, but then you realize pretty quickly, like, hang on a second. This is not like, there's no asset to sell at the end of the day because you have to, like, there's nothing producing. You actually have to come to work in a service-based business or there's no output. And so you took advantage of, and I mean that positively, of the conversations in the downtime when you had these people that were business owners, but they had assets that were constantly producing. And then that helped you to do that, which I think is great. But then I also think I understood you to say that you were in Florida, you live in Illinois, but you had this whole concept of a senior living care. So am I correct in assuming that you got this idea from somewhere where you don't actually reside, and then you're able to continue to do that? Or are you doing that where you reside, or are you doing it in both locations? Because that just seems very contrarian to me.
Yes. So I was down in Florida and our father-in-law played the piano at the old folks home 328 times per year. Every time that I would go down there, we would always have to go to all of his shows. And because it took me back to the first time that I got exposed to the industry, I would always try to like, Kelly, is there anything that I can do to get out of having to go cooking, cleaning, any of that? And Kelly's like, nope, you got to go. And this time it was great because it was in a home. So I took the idea that I got exposed to, because that home, it was a 5-bed home, probably 2,800 feet. And the two of us are able to go there. And then I go, you got to text your dad. And then I'm in there and then I am able to do this, like arms here crossed. And I go like, where are we at? So I took the option that I was taught there and I go back home, because down in Florida, there's 1,800 of all these homes that are under 15 total beds. Out in California, there's 2,800. I think Arizona, there's 3,000. I go back home and there's 55 by 5. And I say, bingo, done. And so I took everything that I got exposed to in a asset class that I absolutely hated back before. I was like, how do I do everything else because I absolutely just hate it. But then I found an answer to it that was totally different. And I go, if it isn't able to have the overall odor or the overall atmosphere, boom, I'm in. And I came back home and I opened up our first house, and then I filled it up, and then I had it full for 4 years. And then I just kept opening up houses after houses. I passed up on other opportunities elsewhere to focus on building about 30 homes here.
Really hope you're enjoying today's conversation. And once again, if you're an accredited investor and you are tired of getting crushed by your W-2 taxes and you're looking for a new way to gain more control over your freedom to choose, go to firstgencp.com/invest. Once again, that's firstgencp.com/invest. Now let's get back to today's conversation. Okay, so then you actually you saw something that you didn't like, you wanted to improve it. You saw that that from an economics model perspective, that there were some real positive things in your backyard. So you decided,
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to take something that I learned somewhere else. I'm going to bring it back home. I'm going to improve on it. I'm going to make it better, and I'm going to provide an amazing service so that
Bingo.
the people that are elderly, right, will receive the type of service levels that you were not seeing elsewhere. So with that as a background, talk to that person that's thinking, all right, well, I've been thinking about a lot of different asset classes that align with me, with my principles, with my values. I'd not really thought about senior living before. Talk to us a little bit about what attracts or what would make this an interesting investment opportunity for that person that's thinking, wow, I never even thought about this before. This sounds like something that I want to be more involved in.
First off, in order to get into this particular industry beforehand, people used to think that you used to have like huge cash because the average deal that they are able to build for 200 plus beds is 55 to 58 plus, right? The average person is going to have to come up with huge cash. Well, so I would tell them to think that things are changing after the past 2 years, that COVID's changing the industry from these huge 100 to 200 to cozy places that don't have to be 55 to 58 plus $1 million. Our average house I can get into for about 1 to about 1.5 million. And I only do homes that are 10 to about 20 people per home, because our aim is to keep a very cozy type of a atmosphere. The other thing that I think I would point out to them is after the 2008 crash, this was the top performing asset class, outperforming all other asset classes after the past crash. So if anyone's concerned on inflation, or if anyone is concerned on a potential things turning, then a asset class that's going to have a actual asset back behind it, plus healthcare combined, is like the perfect asset for people to put if they don't currently have it in there, because the aging population in our country is crazy, and the elder count over 65 years of age is going up by 10,000 people every single day, and they expect to get awesome care, and they don't have those options here today. So having an asset, or to invest into an asset class that is aiming to change the industry totally upside down, just how Uber changed the total. If you look at the taxi, that got turned totally upside down because they had a good eye, and also they figured out how to do things totally different. And that's the thing all of us are able to.
And so one of the things that I think is great, so you are talking about this combination of a population that continues to age. I think a lot of times people hear the silver tsunami because there are just so many people that are in the age of 65 and over, let's just use that as the example, right? That are part of the silver tsunami. You're looking at different assets that are solid assets, tangible assets, and then the service, right, that is provided, which it's the combination of these three things. Sure. Talk to us just really quickly about, because I think this is something that really separates this particular asset from other tangible assets. And it's this concept of a real estate play and a service play. Talk to us about when you think about the senior living, really what is it that the person is investing in? Are they investing in an asset or are they investing in a service?
They are investing in each of them, really, because it's kind of like if you don't have the asset, then you aren't able to have the healthcare company. But I will tell you, if you were able to have each of them combined, then it is a thing that's going to be on a upward trend till 2035. So that's 13 years of things going up. That's a thing that if I'm going to invest, I am going to find an asset class that isn't going to get hurt by everything able to go down. But then I'm also going to put it in an asset class that is able to help people, and then also in an asset class that has an asset back behind it, that if anything is ever able to happen, you always are able to have the asset because things are able to happen. But I think if you add all of these things up, this is a good place to be, because the elderly are always able to be here and they expect to get awesome care in a home atmosphere compared to these big, huge type places that cut care down as far as their overall expense. And then people get terrible care. So I think if you are going to be open-minded, if you are going to have capital to invest, I would definitely find out how to get this asset class in your current portfolio, because as things are able to get tough, people always have to have care. And this is good because the people that have to have care typically have older cash that has been here for some time.
Yeah. And this is one of the things, and I'm sure you probably have one or two suggestions of where people could learn and find out more. And I know we're going to get to that as well, but I want to get to that after the Going Long Final Three. We're definitely going to get there now. But one of the things that I want to highlight this, and hopefully, Brandon, you'll let me know that so we're talking about the same thing. But once again, that you're at a point today where you're providing this service that is a service backed by a real asset. So you're able to do just like you did very early on in your career. You provided an optimal service. This time, what you've done is you've learned from things in the past, and you said, okay, I have an optimal service that we're going to provide. It's not a big box service. It's very particular. It's more on an exclusive basis, but it's a high level of service. And this time, we're going to make sure that it's backed by a tangible asset, which is actually where the service takes place. So what you're doing is taking things that you've learned from the past, combining them today with also something that you see, which is a trend moving forward, i.e. more elderly because of things like the silver tsunami that are moving forward. And so you have this trifecta that's come together that's providing an investment opportunity for others. Would that be accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, cool.
Perfect. Yes.
So I just want to make sure that the Going Long family also got that. I'm sure you're going to, and like I said, you're going to give us just a couple ideas, but you know what? We kind of got to get into the Going Long Final Three. And the thing is, Brandon, I never ask any of our guests the Going Long Final Three unless they tell me, and today you're our special guest, that you're ready. So are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. So listen, so the very first of the Going Long Final Three is, we started with you over in Illinois, the great state of Illinois, and now I'd like to bring things back over this way to this side of the pond, which is now my new adopted hometown, although I'm from Ohio. Now Europe has been home for the last 21 years. So I would love for you to share with us, what is your favorite European city that you've either visited or is still on your bucket list to visit?
That's a good question. I haven't had a ton of time to travel. As I was doing the company for 14 years, I was going probably 80 hours each week. I did have one cousin travel to, it was Australia, and he went to a town called I think it was Perth. And he told me it was beautiful, just gorgeous, everything. It was gorgeous people and just an awesome atmosphere. So if I had to choose anywhere in travel, I would probably go probably to Perth. Is the place that I think I would be able to go to first. And then after that, probably Paris, I think afterwards, just because.
All right. So, well, Paris is very, very, very close to my heart. So we'll take that one. We'll take that one, which is awesome. So
Paris.
Awesome. So appreciate that. All right, we'll take that one. And then you know what? The other thing that I was going to ask, and this is really question number 2, and it has a lot to do with things that I have been very fortunate because I've met and seen a lot of very successful people. And I would consider you to be someone who's also very successful, Brandon, because you've been making positive impact on other people's lives. And hopefully you'll agree with me, right? Like one of the reasons that I've seen like people that are successful stay so successful is because they, unlike most people, when they put a plan together, like they put the plan together and then they execute it and then they get everything right on the plan, which allows them to go much faster than most. That was just a joke. Don't worry. It was just a joke. It was just a joke, Brandon. I could see Brandon's like suffering for me. He's like, hang on, what do you mean they got it right? Of course, nobody gets everything right the first time, especially really successful people. Like never, ever. That doesn't ever, well, maybe it does happen, but not very often. And the thing is that usually really successful people, Brandon, hopefully you do agree with me because that first part was just kind of a joke. They really do make like 20 to 50 times more than most people mistakes or learning opportunities or however you want to call it.
Absolutely.
And so kind of all jokes aside, now this part is real. The thing is, every single time that there is a relevant mistake or learning opportunity, those people that are successful, they stop every single time and they learn from those mistakes or learning opportunities or however you want to call them. But more importantly, they learn from them and then they put different strategies, tactics, and actions in place to minimize the probability of that exact same thing happening again. So what I would love for you to share with us is what's the one lesson that you would pass forward to the Going Long family today?
I would answer that question, which is a very awesome thing to ask people because I'm definitely a person that the top thing that I think I've done that has been able to help me is I take action. And after I'm able to take the action, I sometimes can tell people like I will hop out of the air. And then as I'm able to go down to the earth, like I'm figuring out how to put everything on and pull a cord. Like I take the action first because I find that people oftentimes will overthink things, and then they don't ever take action. So I can tell you I have definitely taken action that I've gone, yeah, geez, afterwards, I probably ought to have done things different. The top thing that cost me over $85,000 was I had a portfolio that I was purchasing. It was June 2021, and I got SBA financing for it. It was gorgeous. It was 10% total down. It was 2.5% financing. And I put it under contract. It was a portfolio that would have 2x'd everything. I had all those homes. This portfolio could have like been a huge deal. Their average bed, I think, paid $8,000. Ours at the time was $5,500. So like these guys were like up here. And the crazy part was I bought them at a 14.5% cap rate. So that's $12.5 million, right? When we're getting close to the end to close on it, the SBA called and asked for a 30-day extension. So I called the owner and I said, hey, I just got a call. Things are close. Could I get an extra 30 days? And they said, no, because I just got an offer that was $1.5 million higher than your offer. And I said, oh boy. So I panicked and I figured out that I had to bring in $12.5 million in 30 days. And the end of that is to tell you, I did not do it. I could not bring capital in that quickly. So what that taught me is when I failed and I didn't get it closed, it taught me that and this cost me 85,000 because I did get our upfront 100,000 total back. But guess what? I didn't get back. The attorney bills that I racked up was 120,000 that I talked them down to 85,000. So I pay for that each month. But the point being is that I was in the opco of our company for 7 years, and I didn't actually help a whole ton in the opco. I was good at being able to open up the homes and do capital, doing all of that. But then after it was open, I actually didn't do a whole ton to help. In fact, I probably made it harder for them to operate because I didn't have that overall history. So what I did afterwards is I said, I'm getting out of operations. After that, I said, I'm out. And I opened up our fund because I said, I'm going to have cash always in here that as I have opportunities that are awesome opportunities that I can close on each of them quickly and don't have to ever do that. Because those 30 days, they were terrible. I was crabby, and I think people could just tell, like, this guy is just chasing down him. And I didn't have anyone pass us money. And I said, I'm going to get capital in first, and then I am going to go buy deals for cash and get a huge, awesome deal on homes that are operating, earning cash from the get-go, but I will close with cash. And that taught me a huge opportunity because that was $85,000 that I had to pay. But a thing that I figure out is I have to focus on our fund for $25 million total. So then I have cash that as these things are able to come, that was a awesome opportunity, but I didn't take the opportunity because I couldn't close on it. Yep. And that was painful, but I didn't get it done. So after that, I opened up our own fund, and that's the thing that I'm able to do today is to don't ever have that happen again.
Yeah.
Ever.
And so this is one of the things, once again, when you have these learning opportunities, you realize, okay, well, now what are the things that you can do? In your specific instance, you had this, well, you didn't have the capital at the table at that point in time. And so what you did is you learned how you could go about being prepared to do that, adapting your business model, and knowing that your business model is adapted for your particular business and your business needs, and being able to serve your investors. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. And then the very last thing, Brandon, before we wrap things up, what is the one book that you would recommend to the Going Long family today?
Life in Air.
Life in Air.
By Cook. Steve Cook.
Steve Cook. Okay. Life in Air.
Yeah, it is LIFEONAIRE. That book changed everything for me.
Well, we are going to include that. And so don't worry, everybody, if you're running on the treadmill or you're doing whatever you're doing, don't worry. We're going to make a nice little simple link, and all you have to do is click the link and you'll get it, and it'll be there. Absolutely. So here's the thing. So I'm just thinking about us both being professional. Would you like paper or plastic with that kind of grocery guys from you being able to realize, like, hey, listen, you're not cut out to do working for someone else. You get there, you have your own business, you have your detailing business, you realize that you've got this great service business, but there's no asset backed by it. And then a couple things happen in your life, right? You're down in Florida and you have to go and listen every single night, 300 and some odd nights. And whenever you're there, you had to go, but you realize that the service levels were not really where you wanted them to be.
Right.
You also recognize when you were doing your detailing business, the people that were actually there, they had businesses, but they were always backed by some kind of a particular asset. And then you realized that you wanted to provide a great service. You wanted to also have an asset because in your detailing business, you recognized that you didn't actually have an asset. You're able to combine a really nice asset with an excellent service, as well as trends like the silver tsunami that's coming or already here, and you're able to provide an excellent service backed by a real asset for a population that is really looking for a high level of quality service. So you've explained that to us and everything, all the things that you've learned in your life. And I know that the Going Long family is thinking to themselves, oh my gosh, I got to find out more from Brandon. So help us understand, Brandon, what's the best way for the Going Long family to contact you and learn more about what it is that you're doing at Shepherd Premier Senior Living?
I would probably just have them call our office and ask to talk to me. Our office phone number is 847-380-8624.
All right, fantastic. Yep.
And I think the only other thing that I could point out that I think you were able to answer there is, as you play the game cash flow, that is back behind you right there.
Yeah.
You always have to earn upfront active income. Okay. But then the key to that game is to take the active income and turn it into passive income, right?
Yep.
Passive income. And that passive income gives you time. If I did not have this company, I could not coach at all, because back before, I was going 80 hours each week. I have, because of this company and because of being able to do this, I've got the time now to go do other things. Passive income is key. That gives you time. Time is the thing that everyone's after. So
that is definitely it. And I appreciate you sharing that. And yes, time is the one asset that none of us can create more of. It is the one that once it's gone, it's gone. And you can create more money. You cannot create more time. Well, you can carve out more time, but you got to make some changes and all that kind of stuff. Well, listen, Brandon, I just want to say thank you very much. I really, really appreciate you investing your time with me and the entire Going Long family. And thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure. And if you give me like literally 10 seconds, I just want to say a couple last words to the Going Long family, and then we're out of here. Listen, Going Long family, Brandon has just given you so many new ideas. He's helped you to understand also too why this senior living space is so amazing, why this is also a place where not just great, excellent service backed by a tangible asset with a trend is also one of the places that you can look for and look to be. And also take today's conversation. Download it. You've already downloaded it because you're listening to it. Share it with other friends. Talk about the concept. Have you thought about senior living? Have you not? Brandon's also made himself available. If you want to pick up the phone, give him a call. Take action. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And so listen, while you're doing that, I'll be here preparing for the very next conversation. So until then, go out and make it a great day. And thank you very much. Once again, today's conversation was sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners. If you want to find out more, go to firstgencp.com/invest.